Welcome back. This is Unit 1, video number 6, and we are on Section 6, the chemical properties of matter. Chemical properties will tell us a lot about a chemical. Mainly, it'll tell us the identity of a chemical. The composition of a chemical is always constant, meaning it's always the same. So water is always 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Carbon dioxide is always 1 carbon and 2 oxygens. So a substance could be composed of a single element, something like helium or oxygen. So over here we have He for helium, we have O2 for oxygen. Those are substances or chemicals composed of a single element. Or it could be a substance and it's composed of multiple elements, like carbon dioxide, CO2, or sodium chloride, NaCl. The basic definition of a chemical property is that it is the substance's ability to undergo changes that alter its composition and identity. Changing its composition, changing what it's made of. When you change what it's made of, you have changed its identity. Every substance that we come across is going to have its own unique set of chemical properties. Next up, a chemical reaction. This is a very general definition for chemical reaction. A chemical reaction is a process in which a substance undergoes a chemical change. So, for instance, we have hydrogen gas, we have oxygen gas, and a spark ignites it, they catch on fire, and then it changes. There's no longer hydrogen and oxygen, there is water. That's a chemical change. The identity of both of the substances changed. There's no longer hydrogen, there's no longer oxygen, there's water. An important thing in a chemical change, this is what's going to happen. You're going to find an entirely new and different substance. If you think a chemical reaction may have occurred, we have to ask ourselves, is this a new and different substance? With our hydrogen and oxygen gas burning and making water, it made a new substance. It made a different substance. Sometimes we will have to think a little bit about, is this a chemical reaction or was this a physical change? For instance, if I set an ice cube on my desk and I just watch it for 10 minutes or so, it's going to melt to some degree. Was this a chemical reaction? Well, I don't know yet. It looked like something changed. Was it a chemical change? Was it a new substance? No. Was it a different substance? No. It was just changing its state. A chemical reaction, we get something that is completely new and completely different. In this class, we will look for some evidence that chemical reactions have occurred, or we're talking about observations. Observations that a chemical change may have occurred. If there is a change in color, there might have been a chemical reaction. If there's a transfer of energy, there may have been a chemical reaction. Next question is, how do I know there's been a change of energy? Well, a couple of ways. One could be there was electricity produced or it required electricity. But oftentimes in chemistry, when we're talking about a transfer of energy, we're talking about heat. Something that produces heat starts getting really hot, or something that absorbs heat feels cold. We might see the production of a gas. It's possible that this gas is visible, like chlorine gas is a yellowish green color that we can see if it's present. Other gases you're not going to be able to see, like oxygen or hydrogen. They are clear and colorless. They look just like all the other air around us. We can't see it. So, the way that we will usually detect the production of a gas, we're talking about seeing bubbles. A lot of chemical reactions happen in a solution, or maybe a loose definition, you could say it happens underwater. And so, if you produce a gas underwater in the solution, like in chemistry, you're going to see some bubbles. Last thing, the production of a precipitate. Precipitate, unusual word, not related to precipitation. This is where we have two things that are both dissolved in water, and you combine them, and the product is a solid. Precipitate.